Alatreon, the master of elements, the avatar of Monster Hunter World, an all-round Chad who we stan, one of the most mechanically engaging and fun fights in the game. The hunt against Alatreon is one of the endgame quests you can take on. Whilst engaging in the fight is reward in and of itself, the gear you can get is pretty damn cool as well. We'll briefly take a look at how to set up for the quest, break down the actual fight mechanics and the hunt itself, and then wrap up with all of the amazing gear that you can craft both the armor sets and the weapons from Alatreon. I'm Lighted Up Dan. The sort of content I love to produce aims to reduce the overwhelm and unknown of the Monster Hunter games. If you haven't caught any of the weapon overviews or event roundups, I highly recommend them. There's something there for everyone. And super quickly, I just want to say thank you so much for really turning up and getting us to around 80% of unsubscribed viewers on the channel, with the majority of you returning. If you enjoy the videos, do subscribe. I'm aiming to get that down to 50%. And with that said, let's get to it. Between the special assignments and then the event which you will unlock afterwards, the majority of the quests against Alatreon will see you facing up against the Fire Start version. Ergo, for the most part, to get yourself Alatreon ready, you're going to need a solid ice weapon. A very quick, accessible, and surefire way to go about this is to grab yourself the Frostfang Barrier weapons. In order to craft these, you'll need to run the event The Last White Knight, which pits you up against the Tempered Frostfang Barrier in Hoarfrost Reach. These are all fantastic raw, high affinity, purple sharpness, and high elemental damage weapons. A brilliant weapon that should be a core part of your weapon progression, even outside of Alatreon, honestly. And it's featured in my simple weapon progression guide exactly for this reason. You can also get the siege weapons. You may have heard people talking about the Kulf Taroth Kiar weapons, or the Safi Jiva elemental weapons as well. Fantastic choices. If you have the time, the capacity, and the desire to get them, go ahead by all means. However, the Frostfang Barrier weapons are much easier to acquire with less RNG and upgrading, and are very much so sufficient to get the job done. Any means that you have to increase your elemental damage, like stacking ice attack skills, and having critical elements from the Velkhana gear, which is why the Kiar weapons are so sought after, they've just got critical element built into it, are going to be very beneficial to you for this hunt. While you can do this with other elements and status elements as well, like Blast or Dragon, we're going to be focused on Ice versus the Fire Start Alatreon. Now that you're geared up, it's time to jump into the fight itself. Being the master of elements, Alatreon is going to throw every element at you. You're going to be subjected to fire, ice, water, lightning, and dragon attacks. A significant portion of this damage is elemental as well, so having high elemental damage resistance is going to be very useful. During the first phase, whilst it's in its fire elemental state, you are going to want to dish out as much ice elemental damage as you possibly can, by focusing your attacks on the front legs and head where possible. Of course, landing hits elsewhere is better than nothing at all, and being very deliberate in your aggression during this hunt, which is pivotal. It's absolutely vital. You need to be on it. You will eventually deal enough damage to breach the threshold and get the elemental topple on Alatreon. This gives you a large window to deal damage to the monster, which is very useful because you're still going to need to bring its HP to 0, so raw is still important here as well. Not only that, but it means that you won't get one shot during Eschaton's Judgment, which is the hunt's elemental damage check. I told you, the mechanics are cool. A few minutes into the hunt, Alatreon will transition from its fire phase into a dragon elemental state. The NPCs talking here are actually calling out vital information on how to tackle the hunt, outlining the core mechanics, the phase transitions, and the thresholds being reached as well. During this state, your main priority, your focus, is to aim out your damage on the head. Like they said, this is the only phase that you can deal damage to the horns and then break them. If you're able to get a wall bang off during this, you will essentially get the horn break instantly. You're going to need to wait for a window where Alatreon is, first off, not enraged, and secondly, near one of the 3 walls or flying. This alone, or a couple of hits afterwards, will get you your horn break, which is super important because it means Alatreon won't then shift into an ice state. It'll instead revert back to the fire state after the dragon phase. Missing this means that you're all left with a bunch of ice weapons against an ice state Alatreon, unable to deal any elemental damage, so you won't get the elemental topple. Before that though, Alatreon will unleash its unavoidable attack, Eschaton's Judgment. If you didn't get the elemental topple, this will kill you. you. If you did, you'll just have to heal through it and you'll be fine. I like to stand in a health booster plus and pop an Astera Jerky when I'm at about half healable HP. I feel like I nearly miss this every single time on the radial menu and my heart skips a beat. I also may or may not shit my pants. As you got the horn break, Alatreon will now go back into the fire phase instead of cucking you and your whole team by going into the ice state, which will happen if you miss the horn break during the dragon phase. And now you repeat the previous steps until you are victorious. Elemental topple during fire phase with all of your ice elemental damage, horn break during the dragon phase with all of your attacks focused out on the head and getting that precious wall bang as well, all the while being very deliberate in your aggression to maintain high damage output so we can get that HP to 0. Once you're done ridding the new world of the avatar of monsters, you absolute animal, you will be rewarded with your glorious Alatreon parts. Head over to the smithy and take a look at this fantastic armor set. I used this for a really good while before I got my Fatalis gear. It is phenomenal. Great raw defense, not the best, but still very good, and excellent elemental resistances too. 6 attack boost, 4 resentment, 3 defense boost, a full level 3 health boost you don't need to think about, 3 dragon resistance, and 1 critical eye as well. Not to mention the set bonuses which increase your elemental damage and all your elemental resistances as well. What's super cool about this set is it will really help you fight Alatreon more. So I would say go for this first before you start going for the weapons. And outside of that, it's a fantastic set anyway. A great balance of offense and defense just built straight into it. Let's take a look at the weapons. They feature good raw, purple sharpness, a ton of dragon elemental with low elder seal, and a level 2 gem slot. Nothing really to write home about in this state. It only truly reaches its potential when you upgrade it. With the rarity 12 versions, you're looking at a really decent amount of raw with a massive chunk of purple sharpness, a huge amount of dragon elemental, again with low elder seal, and an additional level 2 gem slot, bringing that to 2 lots. Might I also add that these are some of the coolest looking weapons in the game. They look sick. These are a great choice both for Safi Jiva and for Fatalis too. You can also use them as a dragon elemental weapon versus Alatreon, getting the elemental topples during the dragon phase whilst it's actually weak to dragon elemental. It's an option, but sticking to ice versus fire or fire versus ice is great too. Any weapons that typically really benefit from elemental, like dual blades or bow, and I believe the bow guns are absolutely insane for all the elemental ammunition you can use as well. They're all going to be super dope as elemental builds. Personally, I got more mileage out of the armor set. I thought it was just such a fantastic set to use, and I really did stick with it for a good while, all the way up until I got my Fatalis gear. And with both the armor and the weapons, do not miss out, do not skip these, they are so great. Have you taken on Alatreon already? Do you have any of the gear made up? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear from you. As mentioned at the start, a massive thank you for really turning up and getting us to around 80% of unsubscribed viewers on the channel. With the majority of you returning, if you enjoy the videos, do subscribe. If you're looking for a mature, inclusive community to come and play Monster Hunter with, the Discord is open to you where we run sessions daily for all platforms of Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter Rise, and even GU these days as well. I also run open sessions during the live streams over on Twitch. I will leave all of these links for you in the description. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the new world.